off, right?
Good Yontif, everyone. Shana Tova. Did you ever wonder why so many of our important greetings begin with shh, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova? During this time of deep and important introspection on our lives, it's never a bad idea to turn to those who know us best. Our spouse, our children, our siblings, our best friends, because sometimes they reveal something to us that we are unable to see for ourselves, like that your phone isn't turned off. Right? We are, at times, blissfully unaware of exactly how we are perceived by the world, blind until our eyes are opened by someone else. I experienced this myself many years ago on one of my birthdays when my sister gave me an alarm clock. an Oscar the Grouch alarm clock. At the appointed time, Oscar would raise his head out of the garbage can and proclaim, "Ring, ring, time to start another grumpy day." Yikes. Probably not the best way to wake up in the morning. So first of all, I have to publicly ask forgiveness for anyone who has experienced me in the morning, particularly to Debbie, who has to wake up to me grumpy every morning. Probably better to have woken up in the household of the French political and economic theorist Henri de Saint-Simon. It is said that he would instruct his valet to wake him up every morning with these words: "Wake up, monsieur. You have great things to do today." So much better than Oscar the Grouch. Then again, maybe if I had a valet in the morning, I wouldn't be so grouchy. Of course, we join here this morning with the great task of waking up and understanding who we are, becoming aware of who we are in relations to others and our responsibilities to the world around us. These high holy days, today, Yom Kippur, is our wake-up call. Our reflections on this day call out to us, wake up, you have great things to do. Continue now on page 170.
Before we rise together on page 178 for our Baruch Hu, let's take in a deep breath, center ourselves and ground ourselves on this day of awe. Let us rise together, page 178. page 181, for the following meditation. Like an unbroken current, energy streams from the source, bathing the planet in light, calling forth life, movement, mind unfolding from matter, the power to love. And we offer it back to you, our own creative energy, ever dreaming, building, shaping patterns out of chaos, searching out light in the darkness. Creation never ceases, not for an instant. All life is aglow with your light. All things draw sustenance from the source. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the lights of heaven. We continue, page 182. Could there be any better preparation for Shema than those beautiful words of oneness? We turn together, page 186, for our Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vaed.
You may be seated. We continue together with the chanting of our Ve'ahavta, page 188.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukishartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchetavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Page 191. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Emet.
We turn together to page 197. And we offer these words. Who is like you among the silent, mute and inscrutable? You witness our pain together. Once upon a time, the sea was split. Israel marveled at your outstretched arm. How many have cried? Centuries of innocent blood, lives lost to hunger, war, to cruelty or indifference, and those who died with your name on their lips, and still they perished in distant lands, and still they languish on our chilly streets. Your creatures are drowning even now. Ever silent, hiding out in history, you have your reasons, or so they say. You left us on our own, so let us give you leave. Withdraw into yourself, withhold your saving power, and we will live on memories of joy. And stubborn and stiff-necked, we'll cling to hope and gather strength to fight the pharaohs when we must, and hold fast to freedom and celebrate in song, and vow that we will never be among the silent. We continue, page 196, our Song of Redemption, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha le'el hakodesh, no'ot tehilo osefele. Shira chadasha shibechu Yehudim Leshemecha al sefat hayam Yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'yameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Tzur Yisrael Kum ha'be'ezrat Yisrael Ufedeichen umecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Koleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Ka'al Yisrael
Continue now with the Amidah, beginning on page 198. I ask that you please rise.
Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah.
We continue together on page 204. Your life-giving power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs. Sovereign over life and death, who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our immortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Wellspring of blessing, power eternal, you are the one who gives and renews life. Please be seated. Invite you to continue silently with the words about Unatana Tokef on page 209.
Page 208.
קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא והיום, ובוא תתנשא מלכותך, ויקום בחסד כיסאך, ותשב
is written, on the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. Page 212. Page 215. We continue responsively. When we walk through a valley of darkness, but find courage to live in the shadow of pain.
We transcend the harshness of the decree.
When we speak about fear with honesty and share what is hardest to say.
We transcend the harshness of the decree.
When day becomes night, but we let ourselves hope.
We transcend the harshness of the decree.
When we feel far from caring and friendship, but let go of pride to ask for help.
We transcend the harshness of the decree.
When in grief we are crushed by the absence of love, but open ourselves to your presence.
We transcend the harshness of the decree.
On page 218, we rise for the Kedusha.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה, ואמר קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו.
We'll read together on the bottom of page 223. To be awake is to be alive. Only that day dawns to which we are awake. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if no one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. Wisdom begins with awe of the eternal. Please be seated. Please be seated. I invite you to continue silently with the words and reflections found from page 231 to 244. On page 244. Our God, divine presence, whose path our ancestors walked, bless us now with words first bestowed on Israel in the time of Moses and Aaron, the threefold blessing given us through Torah that joins our hopes with theirs. May God bless you and protect you. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May God bestow favor upon you and give you peace. Continue with our prayer for peace. Sim Shalom on page 246. Invite you to continue silently now with the words on page 248.
There's a phrase that I didn't grow up with in my adult life that has become my favorite. Spoiler alert. I love those two words, spoiler alert. For those unaware of the phrase, it's used by anyone that is about to tell you the ending of something that you have yet to finish or yet to begin. In a sense, it's a 5-second warning for you to cover your ears, turn down the volume, or simply walk away. But for me, it's a 5-second warning to turn up the volume and to lean in. I love spoiler alerts. 5 episodes into a show, and I am the one that Googles the ending. Sorry, Ariella, I know what happens next. You see, I want to hear the ending. Please put me out of my misery, I say. Put me out of my anxious misery. Tell me what happens next so I can move on to the next unknown. Because isn't that what life actually is? Just a series of unknowns? I want a roadmap. I want to know what happens next. As someone who lives with the daily struggle of anxiety, today, a day in which we repent for our past and prepare to walk into the future, today is hard because I want a clear message. I want to know the journey. I want to know with certainty where I will be a year from now. Will I change, or will I simply tinker at the margins of my soul? I want to control my future with certainty. I want to make the unknowns known. I want the daily spoiler alert with my morning cup of coffee, but not this morning. But if there is one lesson that we learn from today, one kernel of truth to take away, it's that we live in a world of uncertainty and unknown. In fact, it's the unknown that's our inheritance. So how can we reimagine unknown? How can we make the unknown less scary? After all, it's the unknown that tests who we are. It's the unknown that guides our communal intent. It's the unknown that reveals the purity of our hearts, the motivations of our souls. Because faith is not a belief in certainty. Faith is a forward push into the unknown. And with its chaos and darkness, with its brokenness and absurdity, we still find faith and courage to enter these doors, to sit in these seats, to reflect in this place, and to open our hearts for the potential of a brighter tomorrow. We dwell together today with the unknown in the air. But I'm filled with great faith today, not only in the power above, but in the power of this holy community. There is a tradition that I shared years ago that upon seeing a great gathering of people, we are to offer the following blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chacham harazim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, knower of secrets. But why, upon seeing a great gathering that we have today, do we say knower of secrets? Why would we not say, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who assembles this holy community? Why would we not say, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who gathers great beauty? Well, the rabbis of the Talmud answer us, because when we see a great gathering, we should not be fooled into thinking that we are all alike. Instead, looking at the diversity of this tapestry of faith, we all come together as unique vessels of holiness, containing beauty and mystery within. We come together with our communal knowns and unknowns. We come together with our own secrets. And with those secrets, with those hidden gems that lay deep in our soul waiting to be revealed, we stand together as one on this day of awe. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. Today we stand in the presence with God and one another. These words we will just offer a moment from our Torah reading from Deuteronomy. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. Today we stand together from a blessings to the curses. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. Today we stand together, and what does Deuteronomy teach us after this phrase? Uvacharta b'chayim. As you stand together, choose life. because tomorrow is unknown. But standing together today, we choose to live. And what does it mean to live? It means standing with openness and possibility, being open to the possibility of one another, being open to uncovering the beauty and secrets that lay deep within. Because when we stand alone, when we feel unknown, we shut off, we turn in, we fail to move forward, we fail to live life. Today demands that we look within and that we look behind so that we can move forward. Because life is happening out there. And out there is where we should continue to stand together. We're taught to pray in a room with windows so that our prayers can take us into the world out there, into the world of great possibility. We are taught to pray in a room with windows because our prayers, our thoughts, our reflections, they should inspire us to live out there, to choose life out there, to stand with one another out there, to commit to uncovering the secrets of one another out there. The prayers in here should guide us out there, so much so that the tradition teaches us that upon breaking the fast tonight, we should not just go to bed, although we all want to. We should not just sit and recline and relax. No. The mitzvah we are supposed to perform tonight is to hammer the first nail into the sukkah that we will build for our holiday just a few days from now. God must know some pretty deep, dark secrets about me if I am to be trusted with a hammer and nail after a day of fasting. But that's just the point. After a day spent inside focused on reflection, redemption, and repentance, we end the day by going outside and building anew. And the beauty of the build, the beauty of the sukkah is that, like us, the sukkah is fragile. The sukkah is impermanent. The sukkah is vulnerable. But we put our faith in that vulnerability, we put that faith in that unknown, and we build for tomorrow. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. We stand in the presence of God, and we will choose life and build for that brighter tomorrow. Because the point of these days of awe is not to go home and say, that was nice, but it is too hard. I'm going to go back. Today we are asked to pick up a hammer and nail and build for our future with all of the unknowns. We take that leap of faith. We put that first nail in the sukkah. We choose life. But like all sermons, like all prayers, like all words from these current and past high holy days, it's easier said than done. Because we don't just pick up the hammer and nail and build. We stop. We look around. We take in. We analyze. And sometimes we are left paralyzed with all of that information. We say to ourselves, how can I build for the future with the dangers that lay ahead? How can I build for the future with the threats from society that engulf us? How can I build for the future when the path moving forward is unknown? But today asks us what it means to live, and we don't want to live in fear of that unknown. We want to build because that is what our ancestors did for us, and God knows they had fear, and God knows they lived with unknown. Today asks of us to stand together and build for tomorrow, and I just want to pick up that hammer and nail and get going. Because uvacharta b'chayim, I choose life and I choose to live. I want to embrace all that is possible on the other side of that window, and I don't want to live in fear of what I'm not here to know. You see, we are a tradition of builders, from great temples to great countries, and we have always picked up that hammer, uncertain of tomorrow, but secure in knowing that all we have to do is move to the other side of that window and stand together and start with just one nail. Noah was uncertain of what the waters would bring, but he still built that ark and followed God's law. And Moses was uncertain of what the future would bring, but he still ascended to that mountain and he brought down a teaching for the ages. And Miriam was uncertain of what the future would bring, but she danced with timbrel in hand and celebrated that moment of our fragile faith. And generations later, the comedic genius Gilda Radner, uncertain of what the future would bring, she wrote, "I wanted a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. Delicious ambiguity." And so tonight we place that first nail in the sukkah with our own delicious ambiguity. But today is Yom Kippur, and I have to confess my own secret, that in this past year, there have been times that I haven't wanted to go to the other side of the window. Moments when the world felt like it was spinning out of control, moments of great darkness and unease. Those moments made me want to take off my kippah and turn inward, turn away, and put the brakes on life. Because if you think about it, this kippah, something so light, is quite heavy. Because with this kippah, I wear a generation of ancestors who dreamed of building for tomorrow, but were forced to board up their windows. With this kippah, I wear a perceived faith, but deep down, I carry the secret that I struggle, that I doubt, that I am scared. Sometimes I just want to wear a hat. Sometimes I just want to take off this kippah and walk the world with gel in my hair. Let's be honest, I wear a special product, but that's another conversation. But this kippah, like the words of our Torah, like the hammer and the nail, they're heavy because faith is not light. But the blessing upon seeing this gathering of beautiful souls is more than just God knowing our secrets. It's the blessing of feeling the strength of one another, the blessing of coming together with our fragile faith. So, spoiler alert. In this coming year, I'm going to wear this kippah. I'm going to go to the other side of that window with hammer and nail. And I will build, because if there is one known that we will take with us today, it's Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem. That we do not end this day as individuals. We end this day as one community standing together, ready to greet this new year, and Uvacharta B'chaim, ready to choose life.
We rise now as we open the Ark and prepare for Avinu Malkeinu, page 252.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Atanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tabinu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
We join together on the top of page 256. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the 1000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Adonai
Please be seated. Our Torah portion this morning finds the Israelites on the edge of the promised land. Now the choice is theirs. Will they cross over or not? Will they choose the land of promise or will they remain where they are? Of course, this portion is not just about our Israelite ancestors, but as Rabbi Simon so beautifully shared with us this morning, it is about us as well. We too stand on the border. We too must choose. Will we cross over, or are we going to be content remaining where we are? As we are told, neither the choice nor the task we are called to is difficult, and no one can accomplish it but us. It is ours to take on. What is that task? Isaiah will spell it out for us in our Haftarah this morning. It is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, lift up the fallen, and provide support for those in need. If the words and reflections of this day do not translate into actions by which we all can bring healing to our community, then what we do here this morning is in vain. So let us use this day to consider what we can do as God's partners to make the land we are entering truly one of promise for ourselves and all who join us there. You'll find this morning's Torah portion on page 266 in your Machzor.
I'd like to begin by inviting up all of our Torah readers to join us. That would be Ali Abemeyer, Cece Hine, Francis Spencer Shapiro, and Sierra Sugarman. If you could all come on up to the bima right now.
And for the honor of our first Aliyah this morning, we invite up all of our pillar members. You answer the call, our pillar members, and you help sustain this community. You provide needed funding and needed scholarship so that this sanctuary can truly live up to its name and be a house of prayer for all peoples. Thank you for sustaining this community. We invite you now with the blessing of honoring us as you sustain this Torah.
Our first Torah reader is Ali Abemeyer. Ali is a student at Vista Point and
That's okay.
Viewpoint. I can't read my own writing clearly. At Viewpoint, sorry about that. And she loves seeing everything that she learned about Judaism come to life in a recent trip to Israel. Going to the Western Wall for Ali was an amazing experience.
Wow, what a gathering. Thank you. Okay, so on the count of three.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch
Amen.
אתם ניצבים היום כולכם לפני אדוני אלוהיהם, ראשיהם, שבטיהם, זקניהם ושורשיהם, כל איש ישראל, טפם נשיהם, וגרها אשר בקר מחניה, מהוצא ביתها, עד שואף מימיה, לעברها בעברית, אדוני אלוהיך ומעלתו, אשר אדוני אלוהיך כורת עמך היום.
Amen. Ali, you're going to stay up here.
For our second Aliyah this morning, we invite up the members of our Tikkun Olam committee. As Rabbi Lutz mentioned, you answer Isaiah's call to feed the needy, to take care of those who are stuck on our streets. Day in and day out, you sustain this community and you help mend some of the brokenness in this world. Thank you for answering Torah's call, and thank you for this Aliyah.
And our second Torah reader is Cece Hine. Cece loves University Synagogue because it's a warm and welcoming place, and the people here are compassionate and kind. May we continue to be so. Cece is in 8th grade at Harvard Westlake.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
למען הקימותך היום לאו לעם, והוא יחיה לך לאלוהים כאשר דיבר לך, וכאשר נשבע לאבותיך Avraham leYitzhak uLyaakov. Velo itechem levadchem. Anochi koreit et habrit hazot ve'et ha'ala hazot. Ki et asher yeshno po imanu omeid hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher eidenu po imanu hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
For our third Aliyah, we invite up the members of our volunteer choir. Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, sing unto God a new song. You open your mouths and raise your voices, and you lift up the spirits in this congregation. Thank you for all that you do to help create these days truly days of awe.
And our tour reader. I know this one. For those of you who don't know, this is my daughter, Frances Spencer Shapiro. Frances is a freshman at Pali High, and she loves the sense of community here at University Synagogue and its inclusivity, and it's a darn good thing because she's here a lot.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim, V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Asher Anochi Metzavecha Hayom Lo Nifleti Mimcha Velo Rechoka Hi Lo Vashamayim Hi Lemor Mia Alilanu Hashamayma Vikache Halanu Viashminu Ota Vinasena Velo Me'ever Layam Hi Lemor Mia Avor Lanu El Ever Hayam Vikache Halanu Viashminu Ota Vinasena Kikarov Elecha Hadavar Me'od B'ficha uvilvavecha lasoto.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
For our fourth and final Aliyah, we invite up our Israel pilgrims, anyone in this congregation since last Yom Kippur that has traveled to the land and country of Israel. Please join us up here for an Aliyah. We know that traveling to Israel is not just a vacation, but you're taking part in the history and the ongoing redemption of the Jewish people. So please come forward and bless this Torah.
And our Torah reader is Sierra Sugarman. Sierra is also a freshman at Pali High, and she appreciates the welcoming feeling here at University Synagogue and how this place is accepting of everyone and feels like a big family.
Bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Re'et natati lefanecha hayom et ha'hayim ve'et ha'tov ve'et ha'mavet ve'et ha'ra asher anohi metzavecha hayom le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha lelechet bidrachav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'chukotav u'mishpatav v'chayita v'ravita uvarechacha Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher ata v'shama l'rishta ve'im yifne levavecha v'lo tishma v'nidachta v'hishtachavita le'elohim acherim va'avadetam.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
For the honor of lifting and dressing the Torah, we invite up Jeff and Lisa Cohen. You have sustained this community and honored us with your service time and time again to this community. So we invite you up as you have lifted us. Please welcome and come lift up our Torah. We invite the entire congregation. To those who are able, please rise.
And at this time, we'll also invite up our Haftarah reader and blesser, Violet Barron and Sam Lena, if you'd come up now as well. Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Lai 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 lai. You may find the blessings for the reading of the Haftarah on page 275.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nivim tovim v'ratza v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uV'Yisrael amo uV'nvieh ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen. And the reading can be found on page 277.
Cry from the depths, says God. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Tell my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily, as though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not abandoned God's law. They ask me of the right way, eager for God's nearness. They say, "Why did we fast, and you do not see it? We afflict ourselves, and you do not know it." Because even on your fast day you think only of desire, while oppressing all who work for you. Because your fasting is filled with strife, and with callous fists you strike. No, your fasting this day will not lift up your voice before heaven. Is this the fast I desire, a day to afflict body and soul? Bowing your head like a reed, covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes. Do you call this a fast, a day worthy of the favor of Adonai? Is not this the fast I desire, to break the bonds of injustice and remove the heavy yoke, to let the oppressed go free and release all those enslaved? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and to take the homeless poor into your home, and never to neglect your own flesh and blood? Then shall your light burst forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly heal, your righteous one leading the way before you, the presence of Adonai guarding you from behind. Then when you call, Adonai will answer, and when you cry, will respond, "I am here." If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious word, if you offer your compassion to the hungry and satisfy the suffering, then shall your light shine through the darkness, and your night become bright as noon. Adonai will guide you always, slake your thirst in parched places, give strength to your bones. You shall be like a well-watered garden, an unfailing spring. From you they will rebuild ancient ruins, lay foundations for ages to come. And you shall be called the one who mends the breach and brings back the streets for dwelling. If you cease to trample Shabbat, stop pursuing your affairs on my holy day. If you call Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Adonai honored, if you honor God by not doing business or speaking of everyday matters, then shall you take pure delight in Adonai. I will lift up your journey on earth to the highest of places and nourish you from the heritage of your father Jacob. For thus spoke Adonai.
And the blessing for after the Haftarah can be found on page 280. Don't go away yet. Okay. No, don't. Sorry.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol alamim, tzadik b'chol harorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'mdaber u'makayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'vim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh ve'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh. Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnuha limhila v'lisliha ulkapara lehavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim la umevarachim ota yitbarashim ha b'fi kol hai tamid le'olam va'ed. U'varach emet v'kayam la'ad. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
Melech moher v'solea la'avonotenu v'la'avonot amo beit Yisrael u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana melech hakol ha'aretz mekadesh ha'shabbat v'Yisrael v'yom ha'kippurim.
Amen. So I want to tell you just a little bit about these two before they leave, these two wonderful people. They're both 10th graders. Violet goes to Harvard Westlake, and Sam goes to Samo High. And Sam took part in a Maccabi games. Was it in Atlanta this year? Where his, and I don't know if you know about the Maccabi games, but it's Jewish athletes from all over the country come to compete together, and his soccer team, West LA, first place. Pretty cool. And two things he loves about being Jewish are the togetherness that is created with everyone, especially having grown up here from preschool and having friends that last from preschool, in his words, to infinity. And I shouldn't say this right now, but the great tasting challah that he gets every Friday night. And Violet is a 10th grader at Harvard Westlake. She is a member of our confirmation class, and she celebrated her bat mitzvah in Israel. So you guys are both a blessing to our community, and thank you for participating in this way.
while the Torah is still out, we are going to ask anybody who would like to step up to the ark. We'll do this in a single file, and you'll come around this way. We're going to do the prayer for healing, the Mishaberach. And for those of you that wish for yourself or for somebody else to come up to the ark as we do this, we ask that you come now, and we're going to open the ark. So we ask that you come up this way and then come around this way and use the handrails. Go ahead.
Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Yivaled veYirapeh et Hacholim
We're going to remain standing as our ark is still open. If we ask everyone to rise as we return the Torah to our ark. Page 290. As we're still finishing this opportunity for so many congregants that are in need of healing on this Yom Kippur, we're just going to take a few moments. The ark is still open. If you would like to be seated, you may. If not, please remain standing. And in just a few moments, we're going to enter into the confessional moment of our Yom Kippur services. So just to take a few more moments, as this really is a special opportunity for us to offer this prayer for healing.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fern Topaz Salka. I'm co-president of University Synagogue, and I am honored to be sharing this morning, going into this afternoon, with all of you, to be sharing your suffering and to be sharing your joy. Sitting on the bima with me today are my husband, Joe Eben, longtime congregant and greeter, Rosalind Natker, my co-president, Jen Harmon, and her husband, Mitch Viner, our wonderful clergy, Rabbi Simons, Rabbi Lutz, Cantor Shapiro, Cantor Freilich, who is here for his 46th High Holy Day services. Cantorial intern Zevi Berman, who's here for her first. Our congregants Lisa and Josh Paris, who volunteered to help us these past few weeks to get ready for these High Holy Days and made it possible for it to run as beautifully as it has. Past President Roy Weinstein and his wife, Julia Weinstein, who's president of Program and Education for the Women of Reform Judaism. During Rosh Hashanah morning, I spoke about feeding our desire for connection with each other and about the transcendence and even occasional magic that we sometimes feel from making that connection. I think we probably all felt that this morning. I explained our campaign to meet that desire by offering opportunities for sharing our stories and getting to know each other. The board, Jen and I, hope that you've begun to take some small steps to deepen your connection to our community by wearing your name tags, beginning to engage in personal conversation with fellow congregants, or signing up to host a meal, and that you'll join us for some of the many get-togethers we've planned for the coming year. The second campaign we are launching, Doing Jewish Together, is one to feed our souls by working together to repair the world, satisfying what ethicist David Brooks calls our yearning to serve some transcendent ideal and to be sanctified by that service. Before I tell you about some concrete ways you can engage with us in this quest, I'd like to share a bit more of my personal story, one that has led me to the intersection of community and meaningful service, which service in turn makes me feel the kind of magic I believe we all want to feel as members of a synagogue. As I mentioned 10 days ago, my parents were Holocaust survivors. 1 month before the Germans invaded Poland, my father's mother, my grandmother Sarah, took a trip from Poland to the United States to visit her sister and see the World's Fair. Grandma Sarah was a formidable businesswoman from Warsaw, where she ran one of the largest shoe manufacturing and retail sales companies in Poland. When war broke out 1 month into her visit, she was cut off from her family, her home, her business, and her income. She was 63 years old, and she didn't speak English. Through the auspices of HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, she was lucky enough to land a job as a caretaker for an elderly man named Harry Rosenstock. Now, Harry had a son and daughter-in-law named Alice and Lou Rosenstock. Although my grandma Sarah was a virtual stranger to them, Alice and Lou made the extraordinary effort to have employees of the Portuguese embassy smuggle coffee in diplomatic pouches to my parents in the Warsaw Ghetto. Coffee being a commodity my parents could trade for food. My parents survived the war, ending up in a displaced persons camp in Germany, where they looked for a country that would take them. Much like now, the United States did not open its doors to refugees until many years later, after the end of the war. In the meanwhile, Alice and Lou Rosenstock agreed to sponsor my parents and take financial responsibility for them. And they managed to get them visas to come over on one of the first boats into this country in May 1946. Upon arriving in the United States, my parents moved in with the old man, Harry Rosenstock. I was born, and I lived in that apartment too, and my mother took over taking care of him until he died 3 years later. Shortly thereafter, my grandma learned that Harry Rosenstock had left her enough money to put a down payment on a small hotel in a little town called Lakewood, New Jersey, where many Yiddish-speaking people lived and vacationed. She successfully ran that place until she died many years later. In the meantime, my parents and I moved west and lost contact with the Rosenstocks. 5 years ago, I got a random business call from someone who was also named Rosenstock. After we spoke, I said to him, "I know this is like asking if you know my friend John Smith from New York, but do you by any chance know who Alice and Lou Rosenstock are?" And he said, "Yes, they're my parents." You can call it magic that he called me almost 70 years later across a continent for a totally unrelated matter, and that he knew nothing about what his parents had done. But I think the magic was in the extraordinary gifts that Harry, Alice, and Lou Rosenstock gave to my family when we were strangers, refugees in need. Understandably, I certainly feel an obligation to serve other needy refugees, but I would wager that if you go back a generation or two, many of you have family stories that might make it personal to you to help strangers in need. As HIAS, which now serves non-Jewish refugees, says of the Jewish people, our people were refugees too. Unfortunately, there is indeed a great need to help others right now in this and other arenas. As Rabbi Lutz detailed last night, we at University Synagogue are inviting you to join our many efforts in this regard, including, among others, our Tikkun Olam Committee and Sisterhood, all of which are engaged in ongoing multifaceted efforts to repair a very broken world. If you are looking for short-term projects specifically directed at serving refugees, Mara Fine and Rabbi Simons are heading a task force which highlights opportunities to help by connecting us with Jewish Family Services of San Diego, as well as HIAS. Just call our synagogue office to get on the list to receive a weekly informational email. And today, in room 307 at 1 p.m. during our non-lunch break, the son of past President Alan Goldman, Joe Goldman, who serves as the Western Regional Community Engagement Director for HIAS, will be discussing the plight of today's many refugees and what you can do to help them. If meditation is more your taste today, that will take place in the chapel. We also have a second major task force to address the recurring scourge of anti-Semitism. The Anti-Defamation League will be providing our teenagers and parents of teens and college-age students with tools to deal with that on high schools and college campuses. We will let you know the details as that program goes into place. What you choose to do is up to you. The trick is, do something. And whatever you decide to do, we thank you in advance for joining in what, with your active participation and support, can be an extraordinary year for our synagogue. Thank you, too, to our clergy, our choir, our staff, and our ushers for making this day the meaningful gathering it is, a day which we can further sanctify by our service in the coming year. Gemar Hatima Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life.
I'd like to invite Brian Lazarus to join us on the bima.
Shana Tova. My name is Brian Lazarus. I'm the Vice President of Development here and on the board with all the other people you've heard from. Exactly 1 month from today, our daughter Rebecca will be called to the Torah for her bat mitzvah. Rebecca is doing great with her Torah and study and mitzvah project. The caterers have been hired, and my family is working hard on a list of things I'm prohibited from saying that night. Rebecca, Heather, and Haley, to get a head start in my atonement for next year, I'm apologizing now for the stories that I will tell that night, which inevitably will embarrass you. It's fitting that Rebecca's transition to Jewish adulthood is occurring at the same time our community is going through a transition. You see, we first became members of University Synagogue shortly after some guy named Morley followed my wife Heather from Indiana to Los Angeles. You might have heard of him. He also goes by Rabbi Feinstein. We first joined the temple shortly after we got married, because as a young Jewish couple, at that time, that's what you did. You got married, you joined a temple. So of course we would go to where the man who bat mitzvahed and confirmed Heather and married us had just signed up to lead the congregation, even if it meant crossing over the 405, which sometimes, as we all know, can take just about the same amount of time to get back to South Bend. Heather and I both went to Northwestern, and somewhat appropriately for those of you who know us, met at a tailgate party in 1995 when Northwestern upset Notre Dame 17-15. Little did we know at that time that exactly 6 years to the day, Rabbi Feinstein would marry us. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and Heather made her way to Los Angeles after graduation. By the time I came back to LA from law school, our roles were permanently established. We were officially Heather and, oh yeah, that guy who showed up with Heather again. We became temple members in 2002, but initially did not spend much time here at University Synagogue. We came in and out, mostly on high holy days, and kept to ourselves. In 2006, our first daughter, Rebecca, was born. When it came time for her baby naming service, Rabbi Feinstein came to our house for a small service. That day, we had a conversation I will always remember. He reminded me that throughout everything, University Synagogue will always be there for us. It would be our home, and if we wanted it, it would be our community. Home and community, two concepts that provide us comfort. They intertwine. We often speak of them as one, but they are very different. Your home exists. Sure, you of course can put more into your home, fix the broken parts, make it feel more comfortable, but as long as someone pays the mortgage, your home isn't going anywhere. A community, however, requires much more. A community does not exist without its members and the relationships it builds. Communities share values, interests, goals. Communities work together and are built upon conversations and involvement. It wasn't until a few years after Rebecca was born did we really understand what it meant to be part of the University Synagogue community. Sure, we knew the temple was there. It's a big building. It's hard to miss when you drive by. We also can't point to a specific moment in time when our relationship with the temple changed. It simply happened over time. In between gymnastics meets, Rebecca went to religious school. Once Haley was born, she also became involved in temple activities. And thankfully, these days, soccer conflicts less with Sunday school than gymnastics. We joined a Havurah and began to cultivate lifelong friendships. Heather became more involved with the Tikkun Olam Committee and the Jewish Center for Justice. In the past few years, we marched and marched and marched with Cantor Shapiro, Rabbi Simons, and members of the congregation, strengthening our Jewish values with meaningful actions. We joined committees. Last year, I contributed probably my most valuable skill as Rabbi Simons and I taught whomever would listen about whiskey and poured a few rounds to those of you who attended our annual gala. We deepened our relationships with our wonderful clergy, and we continue our relationships with our retiring clergy. Community grows slowly, and with commitment, it flourishes. University Synagogue and congregations like it around the country are the cornerstones to continuing our traditions. It is where we first come to learn the lessons of the Torah, the necessity of defending those who may not be able to defend themselves, that we are all equal, to be thankful for what we have, and to give to those who cannot provide for themselves. Sometimes I wonder, what if Heather and I did not have our personal connection to Rabbi Feinstein? Or if we were simply a decade younger? Would we have joined a temple at all? Would we have told ourselves we could simply rely on being surrounded by other Jews here in West LA, ending up not involved in our faith and traditions? Next month, would Rebecca be having her bat mitzvah somewhere, but not feel the warmth of community? We've all heard the statistics respecting synagogue membership and involvement. Joining a synagogue is no longer the expected. It's becoming the exception. Flat is the new up, but soon down becomes the new flat. Our ability to sustain our numbers and our programs dwindle, and we begin to lose our community. And unfortunately, for temples like University Synagogue, if we lose our community, eventually we may lose our home. Asking you to go beyond what you already do for our community financially is not why I came to services today. And hearing me make this appeal, I know, is not why you are here either. For that, I apologize. Unfortunately, and spoiler alert, our annual membership dues are not enough to cover our programming budget, nor the necessary repairs and upkeep for our facilities here at University Synagogue. Our clergy, staff, lay leadership, and community do a tremendous job with what we have. What we have, however, barely covers our annual budget and does not provide for a rainy day. Our fiscal resources are not sufficient to satiate the congregation's appetite to provide for our members and support the Jewish community at large, to continue to provide our children with a solid foundation in Jewish values and culture, to be there for each other in difficult times, to increase and not decrease the scope of what we can do for each other. Simply put, to ensure the future of our congregation, we need your help. We ask you to think about what this community means to you, how much it could mean to you in the future, and what it would mean if our community simply disappeared. As I'm sure you've noticed in your High Holy Day booklets, you'll find those ever so familiar envelopes. Barry Sykoff and our other dedicated volunteer ushers have many, many pencils, which of course you are welcome to borrow. They also have additional envelopes if you need a replacement. I simply ask that you do what you can in supporting the home and community we have built together and help us ensure its future. May this Yom Kippur be a meaningful one, and for those of you who are fasting, may it be an easy fast.
We begin the conclusions of our service with our confessionals. We turn as one community to page 296.
צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו חטאנו,
We rise together at the bottom of page 296.
ay, 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 Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Evinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafanu Shaker, Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latnu, Maradnu, Niatnu, ay, 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 Sararnu, Avinu, Hashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tahinu, Titanu, ay, 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 ay.
You may be seated as we continue privately, page 300 through 306, with our own private confessions. Right into Ve'al-Kolan.
Friends, just before we come to the conclusion of our morning worship, just a few announcements. Our non-lunch sessions will commence immediately following the conclusion of our worship, so we hope you will make your way there and make your way from the sanctuary. Greet us in the foyer as you make your way from the sanctuary. A few huge thank yous to those who made all of this possible this morning. To Susan Rosenstein, our music director, and our incredible choir. Thank you so much for adding the beauty and sanctity of our worship. Sitting among them, you know, we have an alternative service that Rabbi Simons leads on Arabs, and his long-time cantorial soloist, Jeanette Mills. Thank you for your support and help. To Barry Sykov and our greeters and ushers who get us all in and out of here efficiently, thank you so much to you as well. And there was something else. Oh, our staff. How can we forget our incredible staff? Our executive director, Toby Burkow, controller, Hang Ho, Lauren Kaplan, Bonnie Kebri, Brandon Riley, Ruth Featherstone, our ECLEC director, April Schaefer, and assistant director, Alana Levitt, Ellie Laycook, our religious school director, and our maintenance staff who make all of this possible. I hope if you run into them, you will please say thank you for all they do to serve our community, not only in this moment, but every day. They put in incredible efforts and time. And of course, I am so blessed. This is my first high holidays here as well. And I'm blessed to be here with this incredible clergy that leads us through and makes these holidays so meaningful. So thank you to all of you as well. And finally, first of all, Yom Kippur isn't over. There's a whole afternoon starting at 2:30. We hope you'll join us for that, for afternoon Ne'ilah, afternoon Yizkor, and Ne'ilah. And Sunday, join us as well as we celebrate Sukkot, which is really the end of the High Holy Days, Sukkot and Simchat Torah. So we hope you'll join us on Sunday afternoon as we celebrate together. And there'll be something to eat. I don't want to say too much about that at this point in this moment. So I hope you'll join with us.
And immediately after the service, you can join Yuval Rohn for music and meditation, guided meditation in the chapel, or join us at one of our many breakouts. We hope to see you throughout the day.
Will you join me in reading on top of page 318? Infinite source of goodness, help us to see the good in ourselves, in others, and in the world around us. Teach us to cultivate a discerning mind, to know right from wrong, and a listening heart, open to love and forgiveness. Guide us to walk in your ways with integrity, ever faithful to the promises our forebears made. And may your goodness inspire us to do what is right.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha May God bless you and keep you. May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'el Adonai
tale is told of a devout young Jew who had resolved to devote a whole day to reciting prayers. And towards evening, a messenger comes to tell him that his Rebbe wants to see him. The young man says that he'll come as soon as he's finished. But the messenger soon returns, saying that the Rebbe insists that he comes immediately. When he arrived, the Rebbe asked him why he had delayed, and the young man explained that he had been busy reciting prayers. And the Rebbe told him that he had summoned the young man to collect some money for a poor person in desperate need. The Rebbe continued, "Prayers can be sung by angels, but only human beings can help the poor." We will spend the rest of this day in the realm of angels, reciting prayers, engaging in reflections, basking in beautiful music. But once we are done, it is time to get to work. Buoyed by the inspiration of this day, let us resolve not to leave the beauty, the power, the meaning of this day here in the realm of angels. Rather, let it inspire us to go forth from here and take up our most sacred and significant task, to bring healing and wholeness and justice to the world. Gamar Chatima Tova. May we be sealed for a good year. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Please make sure.
Ushers.
Please make sure you turn your name badges into the ushers.
Good.